time we talk about Unai Emery. Should he stay or should he go? Now, as you guys have known from my videos over the last month, I've been on the fence about it. Big up to Sunny TV. We had a live podcast on Saturday. Link is in the description below. And I came out and said, yes, I wouldn't be bothered if he got sacked. Not going to lose any sleep over it. But at the same time, I believe that new managers have to have some integration of changing the culture, the styles, and what the team is actually doing on the pitch. And for a while, Emery did that. We were pressing hard. We had a great shape, which he was managing on the sidelines. We just had purpose. We had a fortified formation that worked for us. And for a while, things were working really well. But all of that has just gone out the window now. And statistically, he is lagging behind literally in every department. There isn't one thing that he's doing better than what Venga did. Not one. And the pressing and tactics, and that's what he was brought in here for. He was brought in because, remember, he was meticulous. He was strict with his tactics. He studied video footage, which he'd go back to players on a one-on-one to improve their game. He would do all this stuff, and that's why we brought him in. But right now, as we stand, everything is lost in translation. He's not doing that at the moment, and if he is, the players don't understand it, which means that they're not doing it on the pitch. And the results are getting worse and worse and worse. And it looks like the players have lost faith in him, and the fans have definitely lost faith in him. I would say it's close to 80% of the fan base now that are calling for him to leave. For me, as I said, I want to go back to my initial point. My initial point was you need to have a period of time to change the culture. Out of the 11 players on Saturday, Ozil was the only one left on that team. So it's a completely new, different team. It's completely new, different tactics that are brought in. Completely new, different playing style. But what that has brought, and we need to talk about today, yeah? What that has brought to us today is a lack of shots on goal, too many shots on target, yeah? The third worst in the Premiership. Third worst in the Premiership. Not enough chances created. A 20-year low. Nowhere near Wenger's teams. Guys, we're just failing all over the place. There's no improvement. I can go through stats until I'm blue in the face. Emery is not improving on any single aspect of what Wenger did. And at some point, you've got to say this, yeah? And this was my argument for him staying. If you see an improvement, and if you have a plan, and if you have a roadmap, it's important for a front office to follow that roadmap, because there's a huge amount of investment that has gone forward into making all of this happen. But what we're seeing, yeah, in terms of trends, is this. Everything is just spiraling down. That's not supposed to happen. When you take over a team, and you take over a good team, it's hard to stabilize that level of excellence. It's hard. But when you take over a bad team, it's easy. The only way is up. The only way is up. But for Arsenal, that's not what's happening. Unai Emery had taken over a team that had not made the top four. Everything was bad when Wenger left. And you can't even produce at that level that Wenger did in his last year? You're not even meeting the expert. Forget the fact that you're supposed to be improving this team. You're not even at the level at where Wenger was when he got sacked. Or when he left. Whichever one you decide to believe. And this is alarming right now, because I'm saying give him time. You know, everybody has come out and said you need time, which you do. Everyone has come out and said you need 4 or 5 transfer windows. Yeah. And we've only had about 3, in all honesty. So again, it's not enough. But regardless whether we've had 3 transfer windows, I've already made a point that out of the starting 11 players on Saturday, against Wolves, 10 of them were under the new era, were under this new front office era. They were not opposed Arsene Wenger picks. And I'm talking including the Sev Mislintat ones, because that had nothing to do with Wenger. So as far as saying, oh, he's taken over a bad team and the root of all Wenger's failures are still following him. No, they ain't. They really ain't. This is nothing. Wenger gone. All Wenger's players rooted out. They're not on the field. And Ozil really hasn't. This was Ozil's second Premier League start in 11 games. So the man ain't even accounting for the amount of abysmal performances this year. He ain't got nothing to do with that. You can't use Ozil as a scapegoat. You can't use Mustafi as a scapegoat. Yes, you can use Xhaka, but only time will tell to see what happens with that one. But for me, he should never play for Arsenal again. But the manager has not fundamentally changed anything. For example, where are the results? There's been the Watford game, there's been the Crystal Palace game, there's been the Wolves game where we have built up leads. And believe me, it's hard for this team to score goals because they're not creating much. But you've just had times where you're throwing leads away. And that's 6 points within those games there. That's 6 points. So should he leave? How bad does this thing have to down spiral before it becomes too late? The writing's on the wall and the proof and statistics are there to formulate him being dismissed. But should he be dismissed now? You know what? Possibly, yeah. Because he ain't going to give you a win. If he gives you a win at Leicester, I'd be surprised. And that'll humble a few people. And it might change the fortunes of the teams. But I said a month ago this team is to put a run together. And we've done anything but that. And you look at what Lampard is doing over at Chelsea. And I talk about this all the time, don't I? You know, a manager is in there to get the best out of his team. You need to at least punch over your weight. Yeah? And we're punching under our weight. We're not. These players are so much better than what we're giving them credit for. And the tactics are all over the place. They're not working. And systematically, you bring on Saka and you bring on Martinelli and you're 1-0 up and your defensive status in your midfield is Saka, Ozil, Ceballos and Guendouzi. Neither one of those are defensive players. When you've taken off Torreira, and God knows you won't even play him in a defensive position anyway, but at least he was our only defensive player in the midfield. You've taken him out. So you've now got no defensive players in that midfield. And what happens? Ceballos lets the guy sneak behind him, gets a crossing, and the rest is history. But what you've fundamentally done with your substitutions is expose Arsenal to being attacked. And remember, they already had 25 shots on goal in that game. And what you've done is you've not fortified the defense. You've opened them up to being attacked. And that is just not smart. How is that not? How can you not see that? You're a manager managing a poor defensive team, and Wolves probably couldn't believe their luck. I know one of the Wolves players said it after the game. They talked about they couldn't believe how much space they had with 15 minutes left, and they just went for it. You know, there were times when their players were just dribbling into our penalty area, and we had a few block shots. I think we had 2 or 3 block shots. But it got to the point where the guys were going in unchallenged. They were just running at us. And obviously we were afraid to stick a leg out because we didn't want to give up a penalty or anything like that. And it's just got that bad now that we're leaking, we're hemorrhaging shots on goal. And it's not getting any better. And if that's the case, then yeah, you have to make a change. And the other reason why you have to make a change is, if you know the Allegris are out there, And if you know United, Spurs, Real Madrid, few other clubs out there, Bayern Munich, they just sacked their manager. If you know that there are 4 or 5 teams out there that will be looking for a manager, Max Allegri is not going to be around. He'll be gone. And then what are your options? What are your options then? So that's another reason why, and I thought about this morning, I was like, yeah, I'm on the fence, but at the same time, you'll lose the ability to pick up somebody who could potentially help your team get into the top 4 this season. The earlier you make the change, the quicker you change the ethos of the team, the ideas, the tactics. The quicker you do that. So is there a case to sack Unai Emery now? Yes, there is. And I'll leave that thought with you. Speak to you later, guys. Appreciate the love, man. Thanks for supporting the channel. Peace out.